Okay, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Eric Pannese. I lead the product team here at NuORDER, and I'm here to talk to you about our new mobile app, NuORDER 4.0. This app is currently, just to start, is currently available in the App Store. And you can download from the Apple App Store. You can go right in there. You can search for NuORDER, and you'll see the NuORDER 4.0 app. And you can download it and install it on both iPads and iPhones. The app has been, we're kind of calling it a public beta period, if you will. It was beta tested in Q4 of last year in a smaller group, and then we actually put it into the App Store in January. We've been having brands use it now for the last 2 months. And it actually it was also widely used at a lot of the Las Vegas trade shows just 2 weeks ago, or last week actually. And so it actually has been through a very decent round of beta now, if you will, in the sense that it's fully functioning. It takes production orders. We've had lots of success stories using the app. If you want to ask questions along the way, there's, you can actually either use the chat session, or there's a Q&A thing as well, where I believe you can submit questions through there, and then we'll be answering them. And we'll try to answer them as we go. If I see questions come up as I'm talking, I will try to answer them live. So with that, what you're looking at right now, just so you know, I'm on an iPad. So I'm on an iPad Air, I believe is what this device is here. So you're seeing that screen right now. I'm actually on the products page. And so right here, first thing you'll see right away is there's actually multiple different views of how you can look at products. So in this case here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to tap the little, the top right icon here, where it looks next to the check mark, which changes the view. So there's different, I can go into large thumbnail view, what I like to call a card view here, where I can see the most products on the screen, or we also have a small thumbnail view as well. So right here you can see, and again, a lot of the functionality that you're going to see should replicate what you see on the web as well. So almost all of it should be pretty much exactly the NuORDER that you're used to using on the web. Top left corner, you have your filters. So just like you have, what I'm doing is I'm tapping the one just to the left. I know you can't see my fingers. I'm tapping the icon just to the left of the magnifying glass with the 3 little lines on it. That actually brings out your filters, so I can actually choose, for example, by category, I want to see just, let's say, handbags. If I apply that, now I'm only going to see handbags. So again, the same, any of the filters that you would have available on the web for your portal would be available in the mobile 4.0 as well. Okay, so now here I am on a product. I'm actually going to take a look at one of these products and show you what the product page looks like. So I'm going to open up this bag. And you can see here that I have a couple things. All of my images are available. So in this case here, I have 3 different images of this bag. I can see what it looks like inside. If I tap on the bag itself, it actually will bring it up to a full screen. And then I'm pinching and zooming with my fingers right now, so you can see how easy it is to actually get a really good view of the bag. And so here I'm actually, the next thing I'm doing is I'm swiping left and right to move on to the next image. So as high quality as your imagery is how you'll be able to really display this. And especially with these new Retina devices, your imagery can really come to life, and you can really start to see texture really well just by zooming in on your product images. So now I go back to the product itself. All the product information is there. You can see your quantity. Quantities are available, and then now, because these are touch devices, in addition to, I could tap into the box if I want to enter in a quantity. Let's say, there's going to be 33 of these. It's a large number. Or what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to tap out of it right now, and I'm going to, if you look to the left, to the right of where I just typed, you can see the plus and minus. And so plus, 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 I can just tap really quickly with my finger, and all of a sudden I've got 4 things right now. The add to cart button always stays on the screen, so even as I'm scrolling, if I scroll down, you can see that it sticks at the top there. And so in this case here, I'm going to add this to the cart. Something now that the mobile 4.0 does, which will be coming to the web soon, is when you first add something to the cart, or even when you start the app, you actually, now it asks you who you're shopping for. So this is a rep view here where it says, okay, what company and rep are you shopping for? So if I come in here and I select a company, I believe I have one for myself, Eric's Demo Retailer. And you can see I'm going to hit now. So I select the company, and there's only one buyer and there's only one rep associated with that, so I don't have to tap anything else. I click Shop Now. The nice thing that's done a couple things right here now. First thing it did is it actually, if you notice, my price went down because I have custom pricing implemented. So any price sheets or custom pricing that you have for your customers is going to show up in the mobile app, and now throughout the gallery. So if I go back to my product gallery, let's see, let's just look at products here again. Now what I'm seeing in the product gallery is only products that I have access to see. So in this case here, these are all different products that Eric's Demo Retailer can buy, and this is all my custom pricing. I believe I had like a 10 or 12% discount on that. I'm going to add a couple more things to the cart. Just by tapping on the cart icon, all of a sudden I'm adding things to the cart, and you can see the little notifications pop up from the bottom to give you feedback that something is happening. When I'm doing that, what that's going to allow me to do is I can go in and size it in the cart later. Cart icon being in the top right. Now I'll go there in a little bit. I actually want to show you a couple other things before I go into the cart. If I go back, what I'm tapping now is the top left, the three bars. Some people call it the hamburger menu. There's different terms for it, but click on the little hamburger, if you will, and you can see that if I have multiple brands, I can click on where it says current brand, and then I can actually choose switch between different brands if I have multiple portals, and then all the stuff that you would see again on your on the web, where you have products, line sheets, custom lists, all the 4.0 functionality, orders, companies, buyers, and also reporting is going to be available on the iPad as well, and I'll talk about that in a minute. And then your campaign data. If you're sending campaigns, you can see how they're performing. So I'm going to go into line sheets first. Lastly, you probably saw an icon there for offline mode. I will come back to that before we're done, but there is an offline mode. So as you can imagine, that's something that we had available in the old iPad app and definitely have available on the new mobile as well. So now what I've done is I've gone into my line sheets. So now I'm in a line sheet here. Anyway, this is my line sheet landing page. I have a nice hero image here, and then I have some line sheets. If I go into my spring summer, one of the really nice things that you can do in here is I'm an admin for this brand. Actually, let me get out of what I should have done. Actually, sorry, because I selected I'm going to clear this cart so I can see the full line sheet. In this case, I selected a retailer that didn't have access to all the products, so I'm only seeing the products on that line sheet that were for that retailer. So I took a step back, I cleared the cart, and now I've got all of my products again. And so the reason I wanted to show you all the products is one of the things you can do on the mobile 4.0 that you could not do with the old mobile app is actually edit your line sheets right in the app. So in this case here, I'm going to go in and I'm going to click on I just clicked on the bottoms separator, and I can actually rename that separator. I can say, you know what, I actually want to say, bottoms, which obviously I put some sunglasses in there, so it's like bottoms and more, because there's not just bottoms in there. And so I hit return, and now that is now part of my line sheet. In addition, if I want to move things around, what you're going to see in the top right-hand corner here, these three dots, there were the thing that I clicked on to change the name there was the three dots on that line. At the top, and in many cases throughout the app, this is what we call the action bar, or the action menu. These three dots are kind of where, if you're wondering where do I do something or how do I do something, hopefully 9 times out of 10 you're going to find it under those three dots. So I tap on those three dots on the top right. Now I can see all the different things I can do with this line sheet. I can send it, I can add everything to the cart, and in this case here, if I'm an admin, I can organize the items. So I'm clicking on organize items. This is where I can actually start to use my finger to drag and drop and move things around. So I'm going to pick up this dress right here, and I'm actually going to move it over to the end, and I'm going to move the sunglasses. I'm going to realize, you know what, the sunglasses somehow got moved up. I need to move those down below into the next, oops, I missed it. Move it down below into the next area. And so now I'm able to do that, again, editing line sheets directly in the iPad app. And you can actually do this not only in your iPad, you can even do this on your phone. So really, really powerful tool for admins now, not to have to only edit things on the web. So that's an overview of line sheets. Again, taking all the web functionality and trying to bring it onto mobile. The same thing applies to the custom lists. The custom lists are essentially, your custom version of your of a line, your own line sheet, if you will. And so you can do all of the things here with a custom list that you could do with with the line sheet that I just showed you. You can add separators, you can move things around, you can rename them, you can do it all right here in the app. And then now what's really exciting, which I know a lot of people are really excited about, when I go into orders now, in the old iPad app, it used to only show you orders that were taken on that device. In this case here now, this is actually showing me all of the orders, just like the full orders tab that you would see on the web. So this is all the different orders that I have visibility into. If it's a rep, in most cases, reps only see all their own orders. In this case, I'm an admin, so I'm seeing all of the orders. But it's not just the ones that were placed on that device. It's the ones that were placed on the web. It's the ones that were submitted by buyers, you name it. And what we're hearing a lot from already, and which is not a surprise, is that what a lot of reps are using, especially the phone for, is to approve orders when they're on the go. So because now I can look at this pending, I can look at one of these orders that came in, like this first one here, And again, I can do two things. One is I can actually tap in and see the order. So let's pick this first one here that's pending. I can tap on it, and now it opens the order, and I can actually see who it's for, the order number, where it was. This one was tagged from Coterie, and if I actually tap on the actual item itself, I can scroll down and I can see how many were bought. And I can see at the size level all the different items that were bought. I can see the total. This happens to be a very expensive dress. Again, we're dealing just with some test data here. And so what I can do then is I can say, you know what, this order looks good. And now I can simply tap to move to approved. I can also download an order PDF, download an XLS. So if I want to download an order PDF for something here, it's as simple as just tapping on that, and it's actually going to bring up the PDF right here. From here, if you have an AirPrint, if you have a printer that has AirPrint, you can actually print a PDF directly from the app now. So there's the nice layout. Okay, so now let me go back. So show new orders, again, being able to see all orders, being able to approve them, move them through the workflow on this device is something that's really exciting. One question that's come up that I'll try to get in front of right now is, can we edit orders on the device? That is something that is coming soon. So right now we don't have the ability to edit orders in the app yet, but we're actually going to be able to have the ability to edit orders in a future release of the app. So just keep an eye on the app updates, because the App Store, we've been releasing approximately once per week in the App Store right now. So every single week we add features and functionality to the app, and the App Store, just as it would with any of your other apps that you download, you know, it'll alert you when there's an update, and the app itself will update, especially if you have the auto updates turned on. So let me keep going through the app now. You have all of your same company and buyer information. So, you know, if I look at my companies here, what's really interesting about this, in fact, let me go back to the orders for a second and show you how this is really powerful too. And again, in some cases, there are things on here that I actually like, that I think are even easier to do than maybe even the web, because it's all, I'll call it circular, if you will. So if I tap on the app here, you can see that I'm looking at the order. If you notice, it says, for whatever reason, Evan Evans is the name of the person. If I tap on Evan Evans, it actually brings me to his record. So I'm actually now in the buyer record. And if I tap on Evan's store, and I can see all of his orders, for example, if I tap on Evan's store, I can actually then go over and see the company record. So all the different things throughout the app are tappable, so that you can go and see different parts and different things in the app without having to go sort of back to the main menu to find those things. So we're trying to make it, and then in this case here too, the phone number is clickable. Especially if you're on your phone and you tap that number, it'll actually prompt you to dial a phone call if you want to call Evan. I do see a question that came up here, which is a great question. So, there is actually an Apple issue right now. It's actually not a NuORDER issue, because I've actually seen this for myself for other apps as well, where some apps are not auto-updating in the App Store. In fact, we actually even ourselves opened a ticket with Apple to make them aware, and they actually wrote back to us and said, yes, we're aware of this issue and we're working on it. So we don't have, that's not something we can control, and from what we can see, it's not resolved in the sense that we tested on different devices here, and we have about a 50% hit rate, where half of our devices in the office here are auto-updating and half are not. And again, it's an Apple bug, and so sometimes the app is not updating by itself. This actually does apply to other apps as well. In fact, I went in the App Store on my phone this morning just to check, and sure enough, when I actually did a refresh in the App Store, I had 14 apps that had not downloaded their latest updates. So that's just something more of just a general user thing right now for Apple users in general. If you go and check your App Store, you might find a bunch of apps in there that have not auto-updated, even if you have auto-updating turned on. Hopefully that will be resolved soon, but in the meantime, everything we're doing is the right thing in the sense that we will continue pushing app updates to the App Store, and it's always best to try to stay on the latest version as much as you can. Okay. So now I'm going to go, and by the way, that was a question that came in through the Q&A. So hopefully you can, that shows that if you have more questions along the way, please feel free to ask them, and we'll try to answer them real time. So now I'm going to go back and continue working through the app here. So another exciting thing that we have on here that we didn't, that the old app actually did not have, is reporting. And so if I tap on reporting here, you're actually going to get a view into the reporting module that's available on the web. Now, just a couple things on this here. This is something, reports in general are generated by the server, because the server houses a lot of the data and does a lot of the data crunching, if you will, to actually, produce the results that you need for the reporting. So if you're going to use reporting, that is one feature that only is going to work in online mode. It's not going to work in offline mode. And you'll actually have access to the same reports here that you have on the web. A lot of times, in fact, we saw at the trade shows last week, some of the reps were really excited because they were actually able to come in here, go into their sales report, and actually generate a daily report of their sales and see how they were doing at the shop. Again, I'm not going to go through the full reporting module now, and that could maybe be a webinar in and of itself, and I think has been in the past. And there's also a bunch of articles in our help center about how to use reporting. But and I do see a question coming in saying, is reporting only available for admins or reps? It should be available for reps as well. I'm actually trying to remember if there's a way to turn that off for reps. I'm wondering if your brand sets something up. We can check on that. The other thing is it's not available on the phone. So the reports just don't fit on the screen. Right now, they're not formatted in a way that they can easily fit on the phone. So if you're on your phone and you're looking for reporting, you won't see it. If you're on an iPad, you will see the reporting option. I'm going to keep going now. So the next thing I wanted to talk about before I get into, actually maybe I should do the cart. Actually, I'll talk about offline mode before I go into the cart. So offline mode is one thing, obviously, that's a real value add to the app, because at the end of the day, we know, especially with iPads, but sometimes with iPhones too, that you don't always have good connectivity. If you're at a trade show, if you're a rep on the road, you want to download all of your data, you can do that on this app and then sync when you get back to your hotel room or back to your home or your office. Okay, so if I click on this offline setup, which is the bottom menu option here, this is where you can see now we actually give you a lot more information actually too about what the app is doing. And so right now I haven't turned it on for here. This is what it's downloaded so far. So the way the app works currently is it downloads data as it needs it. So if you're in online mode, I've looked at so far, I pulled down 54 orders, I've pulled down this many companies, and I've looked at this many items and products. So I've actually been in this portal, not just in this demo, but beforehand. So this is what I've seen so far. So it takes that data and it keeps it on the device as long as it needs it. Now, and it actually even shows you how much disk space it's using. So we're trying to, again, give you a lot of control and visibility. The first thing you can download is your brand data. So this gets you all the data about your products, pretty much everything other than your images. So this gets you your product information, your orders, your companies, and you can start seeing those numbers are ticking up, and there's a progress bar across the top of the overall. Sometimes you'll see the number does change. Sometimes what happens is it starts going up and then it realizes there's a little bit more data than it thought, so sometimes the number will creep back down before it starts going back up again. But at the end of the day, when that gets to 100% is when that will be completed. And then the next thing is there's also images, and this one you'll probably see a little bit faster here. So if I tap on product images, it actually gives you an indication of what it's downloading from the product images as well, and it starts downloading data there. So and it prioritizes based on, well, a number of different criteria, but it actually tries to pull down the information that it thinks you're going to need first, and then it continues to download in the background. So you can keep ideally you keep the device active, or keep NuORDER up if you can, especially if you're a brand that has thousands and thousands of products and thousands of images. That could take a little while. So a lot of times we recommend, especially if you're going into a trade show or something like that, is you really should do this the night before in your hotel room at home before you go into the shows, and just kind of get this set up and have it download all of the data. So now I'm going to go back to the product. In the meantime, by the way, it's still background downloading, but I can still use the app. So the background downloading is happening, but I'm going to continue to go through and actually make an order now. So as I mentioned before, when I actually cleared my cart so that I could make sure that I showed you all the products again, there's another option at the top here, which is who you're shopping for. This is if like I'm going to create an order right up front for a certain person, and I know that maybe one of those brands that only shows certain products to certain people, I can actually go and tap that right at the top here, and I can choose my company right up front. When I choose my company up front here, it sets it in the working order or the shopping cart, and it sets it in the gallery. So in this case here, actually I'll just go back to my other company again since I've used that one before. And that one I know has a limited product set. So just to show you the products will change now, and now you can see this is what I have access to. I'm going to add these items to the cart. And now I'm going to go and actually go into the cart. So the nice thing is I just selected Eric's demo retailer. You can see actually we put what we call this a chip. but this little indicator at the top there to let you know that that's who you're shopping for and that that's what the product gallery is filtered by. And so now when I go into my shopping cart, you can see those items are in the cart. If I go, I can size them. So if I actually open one up here, I can actually size, I can add a few to the cart. And I'm going to add a couple of these. And you can see also, by the way, that it's also showing me availability. So if you have inventory loaded, you can actually see your inventory. If you use delivery windows or your delivery dates, those choices will be here. So in this case, this one's February. I can tap on that menu and it's going to show me all my different options for where I can, for when I can order this product. And then finally, so I've actually, let me just add a couple more. Or actually, let me show you what happens when it doesn't work. So in this case here, I'm going to forget to add quantities to a couple of these. You can see I added 24 to the first one, 1 to the second one, none to the next 2. There is a little bit of a color indicator there right now, but it hasn't gone into what's called an error state yet. And then I'll also show you if I click on Edit Order Info, that's pretty much where everything else related to the order lies. So if I tap on that little button there, you can see, by the way, I don't have to tell it Eric's Demo Retailer, myself, and who my sales rep is because I already know that. I can put in my PO number if I want to. If I have order tags, I can actually select, an order tag. I took this order at Project in Vegas. It's an at-once order. It really depends on how you have things set up. You can see that 12% discount is automatically built in. And that pretty much, now my order's info is all filled out. If I go to checkout, this is where it should actually, and actually even shows you your original total, your discount, the 12% discount, and then the total, so that way you're really getting credit for that discount that you're offering to your customer. You can take a signature on here, so if I tap on the signature, I can put in EP, and there's my signature, and if I go to submit, this should fail, because I actually did not, and now this is good. This is actually telling me you have items with errors that need to be resolved, and if I look down, they're clearly marked red, and it says the total quantity for this item must be greater than 0. So it's actually trying to, it's helping you very easily see where you have issues and correct those issues. The other thing you can do in here, let's see, let me actually take one of these and move it to a different, in addition to adding some quantities here, I'm also going to move this into another delivery. I'm going to move this one into March. And so now this is in March. And you can see, by the way, when I added 3, now that item is no longer in a red state. Same thing here, by the way, when I'm going to change this one to March as well. And notice, by the way, at the bottom, apply to entire order. So if you do want to change the delivery of the whole order, you can do that with one tap. I still haven't added my quantities here yet, so I'm just going to add a couple in here. And now that red went away as well. Now the reason I wanted to put those 2 in a different delivery is I want to show you right down at the bottom here, there's this, you'll see the word all with a little down arrow. If I tap on that, I can now actually start to break down my cart. So if I want to see everything in February only, especially if I'm one of the brands that has a larger cart, like we have some brands that often can have 100 items or more in the shopping cart, I can now start to break down and see only the things that are in February, or if I tap that again, I can see only the things that are in March. And it actually tells you how many of those items are there, and you can actually see even your subtotals and your quantities below update based on that information. I'm going to bring them all back. The other thing, by the way, which I forgot to mention right from the start, is I've been showing this in landscape mode, but this app also works in portrait mode. So I'm going to just turn my iPad here, and you can see now that this the layout has changed, and it actually now has gone to portrait mode. So and the same thing applies to the gallery now. You can see that that's in portrait mode. I can see my images. I can go, I can see my card view. So there's lots of different ways to view and look at this. I can show you the line sheets. Same thing, where everything's going to auto adjust down to a size where it fits very nicely on the screen. Okay, so now I've talked through, I feel like there's one more thing that I'm forgetting. I'm trying to remember what, barcode scanning was the last thing I wanted to show you. I knew there was one very important thing. So actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to clear the cart here because I actually wanted to show you barcode scanning with a completely empty cart. I have some barcodes printed on the paper here, and you'll be able to see them because, actually I need to, this is going to work. Okay. I'm going to go into the cart. Right now, the way you enter barcode scanning is through the cart. We're actually working on another feature that's in development will be to make that barcode scanning appear off of the main menu, so you can actually have a couple different workflows with it. Right now, the way it's designed is that you can scan things directly into your cart, which solves a very normal and common use case. So I'm going to go to the action bar, which is our very common place where we can find actions, and you can see barcode scan mode. The really cool thing about this new app, and this works on both phones and iPads, is now when I go into scan mode, it says, hey, would you like to use the camera or do you have a barcode scanner? And so in this case here, I'm going to say I'm going to use the device's camera. It's asking me, is it okay to use the camera? I'm going to say yes. And now you can see, now you're going to see my screen. We've actually done this in a way before I start scanning, is you can see kind of a piece of paper. The camera, we've used a small window, so you're still going to have access to actually edit the information after you scan. So in this case here, and this works, it's really easy on a phone when you're holding the phone in your hand and the camera's on top, but I just clicked on it, or sorry, not clicked on it, I just held the camera right over the paper. You probably didn't hear the audible beep, but it actually beeps and vibrates. So especially if you're in a show where it's noisy, if it vibrates, you'll feel and know that it's scanned, and it brings up the item right there. And at that point, you can keep scanning, or I can say, oh, you know, I know that I want two of this, one of that, and then I can go on and I can scan the next one. And now I've scanned the next one, and I can keep going, and I can keep scanning and scanning and scanning, or size and go as I go. If I scan something that I've already scanned, it actually just brings you back to the item to show you that you've already scanned it. So in this case here, I just went back to the first one, and it brought the item back up so I can see, oh, I already have that in the cart, and I put 6 of those, and I've already put a quantity of 6. So again, really powerful. Now you don't have to essentially buy a scanner if you don't want to. It really depends. It's really your preference. Some people love using the camera. The camera on the phone is really slick. People that use the iPad, sometimes it can be a little awkward to hold the iPad up and walk around a booth. So we have seen brands that use iPads at the shows. And they already had Bluetooth scanners from the old app. They still love their scanners, and they were using the scanners. And a lot of times what brands do is they'll put the scanner on the table, and then they'll walk around the booth with their customer and scan things as they go, and then come back to the iPad, and then everything will be in the cart, and then they can just size it from there. So it really depends on your workflow and how you want to use it, but our goal was to give you options and give you choices by giving you both the camera and the scanner option, the Bluetooth scanner options. So with that, I think I actually have covered most of the major features. The one thing I actually didn't mention was you'll see the save disk right next to the action bar there. That's where I can save a draft. So the same thing that you can do here is as you can do on the web, is I can actually name my draft. I can either send it to myself, I can send it to others, and I can put an email message in there. And the same thing actually goes, I didn't talk about sending line sheets. It's actually exactly the same thing. So if I go into a line sheet and I want to send this to someone, oops, let me go, I didn't go into a line sheet yet. Now I want to send the line sheet, I click send, and I'm actually I have all the options that I have on the web. Same thing, I can send it as an easy order, I can include a PDF, I can include an XLS, and then I can include I can choose recipients from my contact list, or I can put emails in the CC field. And then I enter the subject and the message. Now, a couple things about this. One, a lot of people don't realize, and I just want to call this out, is that you can actually put emails in the CC field that are not contacts in NuORDER. So this can come in really handy if you have someone walk up to your booth who is not a customer of yours yet, and you want to send them your latest line. You can actually just go and type in an email address, and you can do more than one. Let's just say my email address is Eric at NuORDER. Oops, my app symbol at NuORDER.com, and I can actually do comma separated, and I can do more. So in this case here, I'm just going to do that one. Hit save. And you can see now I'm going to send this to myself or more. I'm going to cancel out of here. And then anytime you send something from NuORDER 4.0, both on the web and on the mobile, when you go into, all of that gets tracked as a campaign. So if I go into campaigns now, even if it's just to one person, we track the performance of that email. So I'm going to open up this. This is actually a good example of one that was sent just to one. So this email here I sent to one person. If I tap on it, you can actually see that this email was sent to one person. It was opened by that person. It was clicked on by that person. And then action being, it was actually an order was generated as a result. And if I go and click on the view campaign activity, well, in this case, there's only one. But let me go back and see if I can find one. Let's see where I had this one here. The next one here, if I view the campaign activity, you can see that I had a whole bunch of people. I sent this to a lot of people, and same thing as I have in the gallery and everywhere else, there's filters are available to you to see the information that you want to see. So in this case here, if I click on filters, I can see, okay, who opened the email? And here are the people that opened it. Now, let's say I want to take a step further. I want to see who clicked on my email, but didn't order. Because at this point, they've clicked, but they didn't actually get to an order state, these two people. These are now some pretty good leads for me to follow up with, right? Because now I know that they were interested enough in my email that they clicked on the email, They opened the email, they clicked on the link, they went in to view the line sheet, but they didn't order. To me, that could be an opportunity to pick up the phone, send them an email follow-up, and say, hey, it looks like you're looking at some of our collections. Is there anything I can answer for you? Can I help you place an order? Something like that. So this is something that the brands that are using this feature, so the feature's on for everybody all the time automatically. There are some brands that we've seen that are actually really using this quite powerfully to use the analytics to drive their business, and the ones that do and use campaigns. Like there are some brands that we've seen that send out, a campaign to 1,000 buyers every Wednesday or every Thursday, and that starts to generate sales as a result, and you can actually track how much sales you're getting from each of those campaigns. So I've actually now covered it, I think, beginning to end. I'm going to ask, I don't see any questions that are unanswered at the moment. But if there's any other questions, now would be a great time to ask. And I believe there's also functionality on here, which I haven't used, but I think I know it works, is you can raise your hand and I can click on you, and I think you can ask it verbally as well. So you can either type in a question or raise your hand, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have now. Great, just got a question asking what is the maximum image size that can be uploaded? We actually, believe it or not, do not have a maximum image size. We actually will download the original image that you upload. We do some things to make the site, like when we load thumbnails, we will downscale it so that the thumbnails load quickly. But then when you actually click on the full-size image, we will load your full-size image. Now that said, if you start loading 25 meg images into the portal, it will definitely slow you down and it will fill up your device. So, you can get a really good image quality with, an image that's a couple meg in most cases. So, but there isn't a specific hard rule where we don't accept images above a certain size. Image formats. Let's see. I believe it is JPEG, GIF, and PNG. There's definitely a help article on this. I'm telling you what I remember off the top of my head, but I'm almost positive we accept those three. And I am, let me just check if we have. It said JPEG. Okay, the help article says JPEG or PNG. So let's go with that. It's been a while since I've been asked that question. I'm actually not sure about GIF, but I know that we do JPEG or PNG. And if you go into our help section, and the other thing to note, by the way, is that we relaunched our help center last month, and to be honest, it's much easier to find information. The quality of the articles is the highest it's ever been. If you search on image guidelines, you'll find a very detailed article about how to upload images to NuORDER. Anything else? If not, I'm going to assume that means I did a good job of, of talking through all the features of Mobile 4.0. I hope you're really excited about this. We're going to do this similar webinar one more time next week. We kind of made February our mobile month in terms of webinars. So if you have colleagues and other folks that you think would want to would benefit from this webinar, please have them join next Wednesday. And we look forward to feedback as well on the app as we're trying to continually make it better and better. And like I said, you will see feature releases to this app every single week for the foreseeable future. Thank you for all of your time and your attention, and have a good afternoon.